Hello, Sister Leaders community. We are so excited here. Look, this is another season of just highlighting the extraordinary women leaders that we have in the community that is part of the conference and just operate in this space called life. And so without any further ado, I have Dr. Natalie Halloran on board today, and we're going to find out everything that she does in this space called life. And so, Dr. Natalie, welcome to the Sister Leaders community.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, why don't you just give us a little snapshot of who you are, who you serve, just a little bit of how you use all of your talents in this space called life?
Great. Well, again, I'm Dr. Natalie Halloran. I am the CEO and lead consultant for Hall Enterprise, LLC. We are an educational and business training, coaching, and leadership organization. A little bit about my background that will let you know how and why I'm leading this organization is that I have over 30 plus years of experience in education and training, with the last 25 really been at the executive level. I've served in capacities such as teacher, school administrator, division administrator, as well as I've served as a lead coordinator at the Virginia Department of Education for some time. And most recently, I was a chief of human resources. So Hall Enterprise is ready to support you with your leadership coaching and training support.
Awesome. So let's do a deep dive, jump right in, put you on the spot, and ask some questions about your stellar career. And so, my first question is, since you have been in the education realm for decades, so she's not a newbie, y'all. So she knows what she knows. I want to ask a little bit about what drew you to a career in education and how that initial spark evolved over the past 2 decades.
Okay, well, initially it all started at Norfolk State University. And I've always had a passion for helping others, leading others from an early start. So I knew being a teacher, I could help students to grow and learn and help them to build their capacity and have a direction in life. But after a couple of years, I noticed that adults needed support as well. So that's when I had my eye on leadership and knew that I could take my passion and my leadership skills and help build their capacity so they can grow and learn. So from there, I progressed to a reading specialist, assistant principal. I served as a senior director of various programs, and managed $30 million as a federal programs person. And then I transitioned to the Department of Education and provided support statewide for school division leaders and administrators and teachers in ensuring that they had their funding aligned, federal funding, to support students and professional growth for administrators. And then finally I said, well, at this State Department level, I'm working a lot on compliance, and I really want to get back into the field and in the weeds, as they always say, and really be impactful and help school divisions. And that's when I transitioned back as an assistant superintendent of federal programs and human resources. And then my last public sector position as a chief of human resources, where I was able to build the capacity of not only my team at the central office level, but also administrators, teachers, and inform the community as well. So that passion has always been there, and I knew now was the time to let Hall Enterprise really jump out there and be available to make that impactful support.
I love that, and I love your multi-level career. And so because you've held significant roles at the state division and even at the school levels, what unique perspective has each level of leadership given you about driving change in education?
Well, at the school level, I knew I could drive change. First of all, you have to build the capacity of all staff, not just the teachers, but the administrative assistant, the custodian, but most importantly, again, the teachers. I knew I could drive change by ensuring that the instructional practices were in place. I provided evaluations that were aligned with what their needs were and provided that support. As I transitioned to the central office level, I had a bigger impact, which really helped me share my passion of not only building the capacity of the central office leaders, but I was able to also continue to build the capacity of those at the school level ensure that parent engagement, parent involvement was always there. And most importantly, one piece that a lot of people forget is that your funding needs to align with the need. What does the data say the need is? Does the data say that teachers need more instructional support with literacy or reading? You line those resources. Test scores and data will tell you that. What does it say about looking at school level performance when administrators are not always equipped? None of us are always 100% equipped to serve in that role. We have enough experience and maybe can interview well to get us there. But once you're in that role at the central office level, we saw that administrators needed support. So ensuring that you align and build their capacity, because if their capacity is built, then of course they can build the capacity of their team and excel at that level as well as assisting them with the funding. Notice I say funding a lot because schools are allocated funding, and it's important that at the school level, just as at the central office level, funding is aligned to support the data identified needs of the division and the school. And at the state level, it gave me a very different perspective because after spending 20 plus years at a particular school division in my area, I thought that was the way everybody did things and that's the way things were done. But as I continued to build my capacity and grow in the educational realm and taking courses and trainings and really growing and building, at that state level, I saw that school divisions were different. Even though some of the needs were the same, because we knew that the schools and the populations were the federal identified schools and improvement were the ones that I supported, their needs were similar and different. Sometimes they all needed support with instruction and math. Sometimes they needed support with having someone come in and train that administrator. Or sometimes the school division leads needed support and training on how to support and have maximum growth and ensuring that that parental involvement, community involvement is there. Because as they say, it takes a village. It does take everyone. It's a team effort. And then when I transitioned back into the school division, I was really able to take all those pieces because I knew what the state was looking for from serving in that role. I was able to transition back and really help support the divisions that I ended up back in and supported.
I love that. I love that. I heard you talk about professional development. There was like a common theme throughout your response. So obviously professional development is important to you. And so what advice would you give to any aspiring educational leaders who kind of want to position themselves for senior leadership roles? So what advice would you give them in terms of the impact or the role of professional development on one's career?
You have to first know yourself. What is your passion? Don't just want a position because let's just say if you're a teacher, well, I want to be a principal or in central office so I can make more money and do this. Know yourself because you want to be successful, first of all, in whatever path that you take. And you don't want to take a position that you have the position, but it's not your passion. You can't grow. But build your capacity, talk to your administrators, see if funding is available to support your growth. If not, you have to invest in yourself. I did a lot of that. I invested in myself because we know in various organizations or most organizations, they say they have limited funding. So if you invest in yourself, and you don't have to always go back and get multiple degrees. If you see special conferences like the Sister Leaders Conference that's coming up, that can help you grow. As I say, grow and go and build your capacity, take a course at a university, but invest in yourself, and professional organizations are a must. Even though I've transitioned from public to private sector of consulting, I'm still connected. I'm still connected to leadership coaching and training. I'm in a coaching and training course right now that I'm taking at the national level. Make sure you stay connected. Still go to those organizations. They have lots of resources. And whatever your area of growth in the area that you really, really, really want to make an impact in, regardless of what it is, just make sure you stay up on best practices in that area and present at conferences as well, because that's how you become known and you build your capacity. And no question is as they say, not dumb question, but if you have a question about something as you're growing and learning, that's a plus. And then one last thing, your evaluations. If you're not being evaluated by your administrator or supervisor, please ask them to come and take a look at you to ensure that you're exhibiting the qualities that's needed so you can make an impact in your area as you learn and grow.
I like that. So everything you're saying is music to the Sister Leaders community ears because we talk about professional development, education, experience, and you mentioned professional organizations. And so how has your involvement in these type of groups, these professional organizations, enhanced your leadership or even opened doors for collaboration? So have you had any opportunities that have come about or any benefits that you've been able to take advantage of as a result of being part of these professional organizations?
Absolutely. From early on, I started participating in organizations to build my capacity and grow and learn more. And then I noticed, wow, there are some topics that's not being addressed that I felt as a teacher or as a leader that needed to be addressed that I felt like I could help some participants. So from there, I've started presenting. I presented at 3 conferences since January. In the past, I've presented at conferences, and I've been able from there to stay connected. If you're on your social media, I've noticed lots of people from the audience will now connect with me and ask follow-up questions. And it's helped me grow as a trainer, leader, and coach because it's opened up opportunities for those who want me to now come and work with their organization team or coach them personally. And now I'm able to be with sister leaders as well that I've connected with you and your team. So again, thank you so much. And I think it takes a team. And there's enough out there for all of us. Let's not hold anybody down. We need to grow and go together as a team so we can become powerful in this community.
I love that. I love that. So let's drill down a little bit more to just the state of Virginia and education. And so in my little research of you, getting ready for this interview, how has the Every Student Succeeds Act changed the landscape of public education in Virginia, and what work remains to be done?
Well, that's a great question because right now we see what's kind of going on right now with the Department of Ed and that support. So we're looking to see what direction Virginia will take. But from early on, when I was in a school, we received funding to support. So without that funding and some guidance from the Department of Education, we would have been able to, let's just say, provide additional literacy teachers, additional coaches, or support teacher development and growth or parent engagement. The funding has helped us to enhance our instructional programs as well as our community outreach and parent engagement. As I became part of the Department of Education's team, I saw that the funding was there to support. We were able to do training, collaborations, site visits to help schools and divisions and their principal teams to really align that funding. Because the schools that I work with, they were identified for particular areas, either some particular subgroup, students with disabilities, special ed, regardless of that area. And we ensured that the funding and that they had an application that aligned with the evidence-based intervention to provide that support. So the funding is so important because school divisions and localities have limited funding oftentimes, but that additional federal funding allows us and them to do the things that need to be done so we can increase student achievement, build teacher capacity, staff capacity, and ensure that the central office or school leaders and division leaders and superintendents have the resources to make an impact.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about maybe a time in your career that wasn't so pleasant. Let's talk about maybe a difficult decision or a barrier. And so, looking back over your career, is there a particular challenge or difficult decision that kind of taught you a valuable leadership lesson in your career that you like to share? Because we believe here in the Sister Leaders community that although it is uncomfortable when we are in the midst of it, that when we reflect on difficulties in our career, that we can find the positive and the growth momentum that happened as a result of that challenge.
Absolutely. Right away I thought about a time when I first transitioned from being in school leadership to central office of school division leadership. The English as a second language population was something that I absorbed, and I wasn't that familiar with ESL. I managed a huge federal funding pot of money and instructional team members. And those team members, I wasn't quite sure how to build their capacity as well as the reading and math, literacy and mathematics team that I supported because I was supporting them all along, even from the school level. But I sat back and it was very difficult looking at the needs of those English as a second language students not being met in teachers. So what I did was I said, you know what? instruction is instruction. All students need support. What resources are available? I started doing my research online, connecting with the Department of Education, looking at best practice literature, and I started including those teachers who supported those ESL students, because I figured, hey, all students need literacy and math support. Then I saw there were resources to help build teachers' capacity with instructional capacities and reaching parents to ensure. So ensuring that I incorporated those teachers in my monthly trainings and meetings and made sure they had resources and received observations and support, and also ensured that school administrators were aware that these teachers are not just coming in and out, even though most of them were not full-time in there. They're part of your team, and ensured that they were included in all the professional development, training, and support. And from there, we saw the achievement of those students grow for ESL students. The teachers' capacities were built. They felt empowered. A couple of them got promoted because they really learned how to really make that impact and difference. And we really saw a great parental involvement turnout, because we started translating documents to ensure that the English as a second language parents were able to have those resources when we hit the parent universities and all of those. So transitioning and ensuring that at that division level, that I really did meet the needs as much as possible of all students and staff to ensure that their capacity was built so they can be impactful in the schools.
I love that. Now, I hope y'all taking notes, because she's dropping some knowledge here. I do have one topic or one question. We can't shy away from this, even though it is targeted now from the federal level all the way down. And so that is DE&I, and so diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so regardless of what you call it, regardless, it is something that is needed. It's not going to go away. And so my question is in regards to equity, because I think we focus a lot on equity in education. So equity really is a core focus of most leaders and leadership. And so how do you approach ensuring equity and student outcomes and educator support in your work within any level of your positions based on your history? How do you ensure that that equity is there for both teachers and students in various programs, in regards to outcomes? We believe in measurable success here. We believe that what does not measure, it's nothing you can do. You got to create a benchmark. You need to know where you started and where you're going. And so give me your views on equity in regards to education.
Okay, I look at two things. I always say funding, if you notice, because that's one of my biggest things, line of funding. Data. Data is the one thing I'll start out with. What does the data say the need is? Whatever the data says, then the funding and the resources and support need to follow to ensure. If one school needs this, that doesn't mean the other school has to get it as well, because data doesn't show that that is needed to support it. So looking at what does the data say, looking at what are we monitoring, because as they say, what get monitored gets done. You have to get out there and monitor. If this isn't working, the resources or support that's provided, then let's make sure we provide the resources and everything and monitor what's being done. So I say when they look at equity, I think we have to look at not saying that everybody get the same thing, but what does the data say is needed and what is observed to be the need, and to provide the resources so everybody can be at that level that they need to be at to be successful, including parents. Some parents need more support. We know a lot of parents were scared of schools. So we need to make the environment warm, inviting, have opportunities for them to come and see what resources are available, and use some of that federal money to have resources and tubs of things available so they can take away and have resources at home. We want students to do homework while we're providing some of the resources that we know some parents may not have to continue that learning at home that's extended. But then overall, to get back to your question, what does the data say is needed? What have we observed that's needed? And let's monitor what we're doing to ensure that what we provided as support is being implemented and that we see the change that's needed. And if not, we need to make some adjustments. So providing support at the level that's needed, not that it has to be the same amount at every level.
Yeah, I love that. Totally agree with that. And in line with school level versus division level, You've served as a team leader for both school and division level academic reviews. What patterns or maybe insights have you consistently seen in schools that thrive versus those that struggle?
There are two key things. One is the monitoring piece. In schools that thrive, they have administrators that monitor, they provide effective feedback on observations. If they see that a particular employee or in a school, a teacher is not performing in literacy, well, they have the literacy coach to come in. They have someone from the school administration building to come in, and they provide professional development opportunities so that teacher can grow and thrive and be impactful. In schools that are low performing, oftentimes or sometimes you see that it's the opposite. And that sometimes there are administrators in those positions who don't quite know what they're looking for. You know, we all fall into positions at different reasons, or we're prepared, or we don't have a strong area. Whereas, let's just say if it was literacy and I was a administrator and never really focused that much on literacy, I might just go in and may not really know some of those best practices that I need to see, and may not know how to effectively support that teacher. And that's when the school administration building leadership team, division leadership come in, because they should be observing administrators in buildings and teachers and classrooms and instruction to see what's going on, so they can help that administrator who may not know how or want to reach out to let them know what's not happening. So definitely that's a piece. And again, that funding piece, are you utilizing funding effectively? For those schools, because I've been Title I schools all my life, federal funded schools, even from a teacher. So that's the route that I know, the funding that's available. In schools that are successful, that funding is reallocated in the end of the school year, or now is not a time where your funding should still be sitting in that same spot. If you've been monitoring data along the way and your needs have changed, then that funding needs to shift to support that need and change. And now is a good time. I know testing is coming up, but you're looking at summer training and growth where you can help bring in those team members, look at that end of year data, and really start planning and getting ready for the next year.
I love it. So let's talk about what you're doing now. So, what projects or initiatives are you currently most passionate about, and what impact do you hope to make through them?
Well, I'm passionate about continuing to build the capacity of leaders, whether it's division leaders or organizational leaders, to ensuring that they know themselves, that they're building their capacity, that they're really being impactful in their role. And I'm also serving as a coach that I'm passionate about. I'm coaching a few individuals now. I'm gathering now some few workshops and sessions with some masterminds so we can get together and let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on. Because oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, we know that it's great when we can talk with other like-minded individuals who are possibly in some similar situations, and we can kind of talk things through, and it helps to sometimes just talk some of these things through. But leadership training and coaching, I'm also presenting at a couple of conferences. I'm just excited and welcoming all those who are reaching out to me. I'm about to do a couple of keynote speaking engagements so I can really be impactful. And that's my passion, is ensuring that I'm continuing to help others grow and build their capacity. And I would love to be, and I like being that path who can help someone problem solve and walk through those things, as well as manage their money. I've had a few school divisions reach out to me to help them come with managing their federal funding. And in a couple of months, they got to check out my website, because I'm going to have a session here in Region 2 on now what, with all the things that are going on with the Department of Education, the Virginia Department of Education, you know, just with them trying to figure things out with this funding. I can help them stay on the path. Let's look at that funding. Where are we and where do we need to go?
Yeah, I'm sure that there is some shifting around, reassessing and reallocating going on, and I'm sure there is some fear in some instances. So that is definitely going to be a class that the school divisions are going to need. And so before we move into where you tell us about more about what you have going on in the future, my final question is, what is your personal leadership philosophy? And what legacy do you hope to leave within the field of education?
Okay, my personal philosophy is grow and go. That's what I say. You have to grow, build your capacity, and then go. Whether you go and elevate in your current organization, or now that you know yourself and you've grown and built your capacity, that you've went on to a different level. And I often tell people, you, after a couple of years, I used to tell my team, if after 2 or 3 years, if you're still in your same position under my leadership, it's because you probably maybe didn't want to grow and go, or you're right where you want to be, or wasn't a good fit. But oftentimes I say you have to grow and go, build your capacity, grow and go, and expose yourself. That's my philosophy. And my impact and what legacy I would like to leave is, they would like to say that Dr. Natalie Halloran was impactful and passionate about the work, and she made an impact in my life, and I saw her and I could feel her passion through her discussion, because I'm passionate. You probably can feel it. I get passionate, my eyes light up when I talk about some of these things, and I want others to not have all those roadblocks and not know and not have the knowledge that I have that can help them elevate quickly through a lot of these situations.
Well, we definitely feel the passion and see the passion, and we love that about you. And so, as we close out this wonderful podcast interview, I want you to share with the Sister Leaders community anything that you got going on. Maybe talk about any books or anything that you've had published, any upcoming keynotes that you're speaking that they can support you. How can they stay attached to you on social media if they want to know more, or even if they want to hire your services? Go ahead and share all that with the community so we can stay connected.
Yes, well, Tilha Enterprise, you can see in my logo. That's the website. Please go there. It has various sections to let you know about all the support that I can provide in the areas of leadership coaching, training, instruction and support, and grant management. I'm also on LinkedIn. Please follow me. I would love to follow you and see all the great things that you're doing. And those are ways to connect with me. I will be presenting not next month, in June, at the Black Women Educational Leaders Conference. I was just confirmed as a speaker there. I will be at the Sister Leaders Conference in October. But even sooner than that, check out my website, because in a couple of weeks, I will have links to, and also on LinkedIn, to my Region 2 workshop here in Virginia on building your capacity and growing, as well as grant management for those schools in the state. I think there are 300 or something schools in the state of Virginia that's currently receiving federal funding, and you need to know next steps and what needs to happen. So definitely follow me. I'd love to connect with you.
Yes, go ahead and connect with Dr. Natalie, and you'll be seeing more of her as we are promoting and leading up to the conference. And so that is a good segue. Let's talk about the upcoming Sister Leaders Conference, where Dr. Natalie will certainly be front and center as one of the speakers. And this year, our theme is her voice, her vision, her victory. And so we're going to be talking about, saying those things that we want to happen in existence, having a plan, her vision. And then if we have a plan, if we do the work, then we will certainly be victorious. And so the conference is going to be October 3rd and 4th we're going back to the Rivers Casino. Of course, we sold out on last year, had a wonderful time with the Sister Leaders Awards. And so we're going to be bringing a ton of subject matter experts, such as Dr. Natalie and herself, to the casino for those 2 full-packed days. And when I say full days, full days. And so we are going to network, educate, elevate, cheer on one another. Sister Leaders community is not a mean girls community. We are a community where we support one another, provide resources to one another, educate one another for the elevation of women in senior leadership. And so we are currently interviewing and taking applications for any potential speakers. If you think that you have a lane of brilliance that you want to share with the community, and it may be in line with our theme, which is her vision, her voice, her victory, then certainly go to the website sisterleadersconference.com and apply to be interviewed as a speaker. But we're going to have a good old time. We're bringing back the Sister Leaders Awards, where we're going to recognize women who are operating at the top of their game in various industries. I think we have about 13 industries. And so depending on the nominations and the committee, I do not pick the winner, so you can't snooze up to me, but I do take free food. But we'll be recognizing women leaders, and then we'll also be honoring individuals with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, which is our top award of the conference for the Sister Leaders Award. So go to sisterleaders.conference.com and check us out, and look forward to the next podcast interview, and you will not be disappointed. Thank you. I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. Until next time, go forth, Sister Leader. Bye.